Welcome everybody into the Golden Bear Network. We got a new duo for you, tonight here on the final game of the regular season, as the Holy Innocents Golden Bears looking to go a perfect 10-0 in the regular season after they've already won the region championship first time since 2009, and the Golden Bears are on a tear this year. I've called it the redemption tour all season long, and they're looking to close it out in style here tonight at home. A bye week next week as they go in tonight as they face the Bobcats here tonight.
Yeah, that's right. And like you said, the redemption tour, they've had a lot of redemption this year. Mount Vernon got a win there, got a win versus Eagles Landing Christian, and also another school in New Hebron that they've redeemed themselves and have lost to previously.
And coming off a big 59-14 victory last week, and really, look, it was a close game. First quarter, it was a one touchdown game. Going into the second quarter, it got as close as 7 points, 21-14, and that was a 2-6 team that they were facing last week in Landmark Christian. And they just decided, I don't know what hit them, but something hit them right in the face, and they just responded in a way that we haven't really even seen all year when they faced some things like that all season. But they put up 42 points in the second quarter, and a lot of it was led by the defense. After the defense kind of struggled in that first quarter, but they came in the second quarter and they really kind of turned the knob up a little bit to high volume, and they got some turnovers, they got some easy 3 and outs, and which led to the offense. And that's when, you know, when this team can be put in good spots, and you give it to those two dynamic guys on the backfield for the Golden Bears, that just turns out and churns out some points.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Landmark Christian, they've got their hands full tonight. They're playing Eagles Landing, so that should be interesting. But on another front, I believe Taekwon Alexander, I'm not so sure he's playing in this game. I saw him earlier. He was not dressed. I don't know. It looks like number 7 is on the sideline, so we will not see Taekwon tonight.
And that's another dynamic in this offense as well. He didn't play last week either, had a high ankle sprain, so he's not going to be playing. They want him completely healthy for the playoffs. This gives him 3 full weeks heading into the playoffs, whoever we play. And again, we don't know who we play yet. We do have a bye week as winning the region championship. You're going to have home field advantage all the way to the semifinals, where again, if you're in that 2-3 matchup, you could potentially play Eagles Landing in that 2-3 matchup in the semifinals. So something to watch out for. But again, down the road, we have a regular season finale here to broadcast for you tonight, and it should be, we're hoping, a pretty quick game. It's a little chilly it's fall weather, it's football weather here in Atlanta, so just something to watch out for there as well. How much do we see Michael Cox and Matt Davis tonight? I think that's the real question. They're obviously going to start the game. You want to finish the season because you have power rankings to worry about as well. Obviously, you're going to finish in the top 3 because of you winning your region, but you want to kind of land on that number 1 seed. As both teams kind of on the field here getting ready for the kickoff. But you want to land on that number 1 seed to make sure that you have the best opportunity to advance in the playoffs.
Yeah, you just want to keep things routine. I mean, this is let's be honest, this football team they're facing tonight is not a very good football team. They're 0-9, but you just want to keep that routine. You want to go through everything, be able to run your plays, stay healthy, get out of this game without any more injuries, and just continue to play at a high level.
And it's an 0-9 Bobcats of Our Lady of Mercy taking on the 9-0 Golden Bears of Holy Innocents. And the kickoff is just about underway on the Golden Bear Network. It's up. It's a high, short kick right around the 20-yard line, and it's bobbled right around that 20-yard line, then picked up, made a couple of moves, and now he has some space and lowers his shoulder. And I can't quite see the number there.
I believe it was number 46.
46, and I think that is William Willis, the middle linebacker with Hunter Hawk. He somehow, the upback, picks that football up, fumbles it, picks the football up, and runs it another 19-20 yards, and that's where the Golden Bears will take over on offense.
Yeah, Willis picked it up. He just went straight up the seam, broke a few tackles. Looked like he wasn't going to get much out of that, but ended up getting it to about the 39.
So we do see Matt Davis, Michael Cox and company here on the first possession. The Golden Bears will take over first possession of the game at their own 39-yard line. And again, Matt Davis, shotgun formation. Michael Cox, the deep back. Man in motion. They give it to Cox. Breaks about 3 tackles and falls forward for your typical gain of about 6 yards, which he seems to average on every single time he touches the football.
Yeah, Cox goes right side that time. Big block from that right side of the offensive line, and he gets a nice chunk of yards on that one.
And you'll see Leighton Dixon coming out of the backfield as well. He always is in motion a little bit as well as that second option out of the backfield. So it'll bring up second down in familiar territory after the gain of 7 on first down. It'll be second down and 3. And they're going to give it to Felton. He takes it wide right, has some space, breaks a tackle inside the 30, and just about broke it for a touchdown, but he is pushed out of bounds. He is pushed out of bounds by Ashton Henny Road and Bryson Mullins, both in there on the tackle, but not before a big gain there for Jack Felton on second down and 3.
And Jack Felton getting some reps in here as he has throughout this year, playing a little running back and helping out where he can. And he's a really good utility guy.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He can kind of do a lot of different things, playing that deep safety spot on the defense, but also covering a lot of territory as well. But he can kind of take the ball and go into the end zone. And speaking of end zone, Michael Cox from 22 yards out, first touchdown of the game for the Golden Bears.
Excellent job that time. Offensive line, they go left side this time. They got off the ball very quickly. Cox finds the hole and 22-yard scamper for a touchdown.
And just like that, a typical opening possession for the Golden Bears as Michael Cox finishes it off. 3 plays, 61 yards, capped off by a Michael Cox 22-yard touchdown run. And again, I feel like I've said that about 300 times this season because he seems to, every time he gets the football on the opening possession, he seems to just go in. And Peter Wonke in for the, it looks like they're going to go for 2 points here. And is that Hall O'Neal in the shotgun formation? And Hall O'Neal pitches it back. I don't think I've ever seen that. Hall O'Neal back to Tyler White, who tries to throw a kind of a flat route. So I don't even think that's a wide receiver. That's not a play that I was necessarily prepared for here on the opening possession. A couple of linemen in on the extra point try there, which fails. So 6-0 Golden Bears.
Maybe trying some playoff trickery in the future. Maybe trying to practice for that.
But nonetheless, a successful opening drive here for the Golden Bears. They go up 6-0 on a Michael Cox 22-yard touchdown run, over 1,400 yards. Over 1,400 yards for Michael Cox on the season, and that puts him, he's close to that 1,500-yard mark for the Golden Bears. He's top 5 in the region is Michael Cox. So big opening drive. We'll see what this Golden Bears defense can do. Wonke on for the kickoff attempt. It is up. Low line driver fielded at around the 8-yard line by Mullins. Mullins picks it up, and he's going to get gang tackled inside the 20. Doesn't get very far to about the 17 or 18-yard line.
Yeah, not a lot of room for Mullins. He tried to go right side to get up the sideline that time, but brought down by a host of Bears. Good coverage on the kickoff.
So 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line for the Bobcats here. And again, only 19 players on the roster for Our Lady of Mercy. And you see the entire offense out there, of course, 11 players on the offensive side, and they have about 7 or 8 guys on the sidelines. It kind of makes me want to go down and suit up a little bit and put some pads on and go down there and help them out a little bit. But we'll see what they have on offense. Their first offensive possession here, 10:46 left in the first quarter.
I'm not so sure if 8-man football is a thing in Georgia, but it is back where I am. And anyways, there's a lot of schools that end up having to transition to 8-man football.
And Our Lady of Mercy, not a lot of players here, but shotgun formation, man in motion. And they hand it off to the back, who gets hit hard. And was that Hunter Hawk? I should have guessed. Hunter Hawk or William Willis always kind of make those tackles, but Hunter Hawk in there on a lot of tackles this year, leading tackler for the Golden Bears on defense.
Good job there by Hunter Hawk. He saw the running back take the handoff and really shot the gap well and made his presence known with a big tackle.
And he kind of had some jet sweep motion there, and they faked the handoff to the man in motion and try to get the defense to maybe commit to one side of the field, but Hunter Hawk was not fooled. He's a veteran, and one of the best tacklers and linebackers in the state of Georgia. So 2nd down and 10. Mullins takes the snap, and the ball's on the ground. And it'll be picked up and taken into the end zone. Touchdown, Golden Bears. And Jack Felton comes up with the big fumble recovery, runs it back for 20 yards, and a 2nd touchdown of the night belongs to Jack Felton and the Golden Bear defense.
Couldn't really see what happened. Looked like just a bad exchange. Maybe popped it off the chest of the running back, but I just saw the ball pop up. Jack Felton ran in there, picked it up, took it into the end zone, and that's a quick 14 points, or 12 points rather.
It brings in Peter Wanke once again, who is perfect on extra point attempts on the season. Looking to continue that. You don't want to jinx the kicker necessarily on the last week of the season, and we don't. So 13-0. The Golden Bears up very early on here in the first quarter, 9:52 to go. So a 3-play, capped off 22-yard run by Michael Cox, and 2 plays later, Our Lady of Mercy gets the football, fumbles it, picked up by Felton, runs it back, and there's your game summary in about 2 minutes. And the Golden Bears up 13-0 here early on.
Yeah, we may spend most of our time doing the scoring summary throughout this game because there's going to be a lot of it.
And we each have a scorecard this time because I know last week I had a scorecard, and after that first half where they put up 70 combined total points, my scorecard was about full after the first half. So I told Marshall, I said, I'm going to have to turn this over and kind of create my own table here because these teams are just, they seem to be scoring at will, no defense last week early on. So kickoff just about underway, 13-0 lead, Golden Bears. And Wanke, low line driving kick. This one's going to bounce at around the 10-yard line, picked up at around the 4, brought up the right sideline, and he's hit by a couple of different players and led by Bo Maxwell for the Golden Bears.
Number 20, Kadar Henry.
Kadar Henry also in there as well. The young Kadar Henry has a lot of speed. We could see him maybe in the second half tonight. Backup defensive end, can play a little wide receiver, running back, flex there on the offensive side as well. But again, a lot of speed from Kadar Henry. Very raw. Only started football a couple of years ago. So Kadar Henry could be raw, but this could be a good time to get him some reps before the playoffs, just in case he's needed. Golden Bear defense out there. Spencer Getz on the defensive line, leading sack man on this defense on the season. Having a great senior season. Shotgun formation for the Bobcats, and a penalty flag is down. Should be a false start. And it is false start on the wide receiver for the Bobcats.
And if it's not ugly enough for the Bobcats, it's only going to get uglier from here. Is not getting off to a good start. First drive, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and here we go starting with a penalty.
And I guess a timeout has been called here by the Bobcats. Head coach Mark Miller's first timeout of the first half. But look, this is kind of as expected. You don't want to take your foot off the gas when you come into a kind of a regular season finale. But the Golden Bears really kind of have to keep their head straight. They might try some things here on offense. They might put some new guys in on defense. But I would expect to see Marshall Nichols in there at quarterback, the backup quarterback for the All-State punter, All-American punter possibly, Marshall Nichols. But haven't had to use him a lot this year, but still a very talented punter. And it's one of those games where you don't want to get caught up in it being the last game of the season, and it's cold, and you're playing an 0-9 team, and there's a lot of ways that you can kind of fall in the valley there. But this team's senior-led. That's what I was going to say. They're very senior-led. They have a lot of seniors on the team, and they're very headstrong. So I think Coach Winter's got them coached up pretty well.
I was really impressed pregame. I was watching Marshall Nichols punt, and he was punting from the 50, and probably 6 times in a row he cleared the end zone. I mean, it was just incredible. And
he doesn't stop either, and luckily we haven't had to use him, so that's usually a good sign if your punter's not in the game that often. Quick out pass and good defense there by Donovan Johnson, the cornerback, coming up and maybe a half a step away from picking that one off and taking it in for 6, but good pass deflection there. It'll bring up the 2nd down and long for the Bobcats.
Yeah, looking to get the ball to John Phillips, and Donovan Johnson was all over it. It's just bad timing that time between the quarterback and the receiver. Good coverage.
So it'll be 2nd down and 15 after the false start penalty on 1st down. Once again, shotgun formation as most teams run in the league. Man in motion is the H-back, and they're going to fake it to the running back. Quarterback just brings it down. He's getting chased by Landon Cardian, and he is brought down by about 6 other different defenders there for the Golden Bears. Cardian led the way, though, made first contact, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and really long.
Yeah, trying to run that read option, just keeps it that time, goes far sideline, and defense in good pursuit, able to set the edge and not allow him to beat them on the corner.
So it's going to bring up a 3rd down, and they say 20 on the scoreboard. And if I had to guess, there's not a lot of plays in the playbook for a 3rd down and 20 on the road when you're down 13-0 in the first quarter. I would say there's not a lot of plays in the playbook, but they are going to go 4 wide receivers, and the H-back once again in motion. Quarterback's just going to sneak it left side, and he is going to get taken down almost immediately, led by a host of players. Hunter Hawk in there leading the way as well, and William Willis in there as well.
Interesting formation, shotgun, 4 wide receivers, as you said, Nate, and then they have an H-back, and it's like they put 4 receivers out there to spread you out, create space, but also get behind that H-back when the quarterback does run.
And that kind of seemed more like a we give up type of play on not for the entire game, but for that possession, right? You on 3rd and 20, like we said, there's not a lot of plays that you can call. When you're already down 2 touchdowns, you're just going to have to start airing it out at some point.
Right.
But at that, as he punts from his own end zone, pretty good punt off there. Fair catch is caught right at the 39-yard line. So I covered about 40, almost 45 yards on the punt. So pretty good punt. Problem is it doesn't really change field position that much because the Golden Bears will take over at the Bobcats' 39-yard line.
Yeah, that was a pretty good punt. Unfortunately, our roster does not have that young man's name, but credit to him. Good punt, number 27.
We'll go with number 27. I like that. As we come up, 8 minutes on the clock exactly. The Golden Bears up 13-0, and they take over with really good field position here on their 2nd possession of the game. And Davis is going to drop back, throw it deep, has a man wide open who just drops it. And that was James Gleason, who doesn't get a lot of playing time on offense, but James Gleason is a very important player for the Golden Bears. He can do a lot of things. He comes in on defense as well, but a young sophomore, and that can make a couple of tackles from the linebacker spot as well.
Yeah, James Gleason, he was coming straight up the seam that time, got behind the safety. Safety was looking over his right shoulder and realized that Gleason had him beat over his left and had to turn him around completely.
And they're going to give it to Michael Cox, who gets hit a couple of times, spins off of a couple of tackles, and he is going to spin off a couple of more tackles. He's going to take it right up the middle, and that is a Marshawn Lynch-type run as Michael Cox goes 39 yards on one play, and I'm pretty sure he broke about 7 tackles on that one play.
And a game like this with the team that they're playing, it's not a quality opponent, but if you can get some confidence in your guys going into the playoffs, build that steam, it really helps. Get some guys some reps, try to build some depth, and these games will pay off.
And just like that, a 2-play 39-yard drive capped off by a 39-yard touchdown run by Michael Cox. Wonky in for the extra point again to make it 20-0, and a penalty is down. The kick will not count. So we'll wait for the official call here. Offsides on the defense. So they will have to re-kick.
Call a offside on the defense.
Half the distance to the goal, so it goes from the 2 to the 1. And the Golden Bears will re-kick. Peter Wonky will once again try to make it 20-0. Wonky lines it up with his signature. He always puts his hand up, and he always lines it up in between the posts where he stands exactly is the same every single kick, and it works. He knocks it through. So Peter Wonky makes it 20-0, the Golden Bears over the Bobcats. of Our Lady of Mercy here at Riverwood. Golden Bear Network once again here, and we knew this could have a potential to be maybe a blowout, a slow game, but we have a lot of season to talk about. We have a lot of playoff potential to talk about. Athens Academy, Darlington, a couple of the big teams in the top 5 for Region 1 that we could see here in a couple of weeks as well. Of course, in Georgia high school football, it's a power ranking system, which is really weird because I saw a poll where Eagles Landing was ahead of us even though we beat them, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But nonetheless, that's how it works here. And so Holy Innocents actually, the last time I checked, was 3rd in the power rankings, behind Eagles Landing and I think it's Athens Academy. I'll have to double check the poll at halftime and get back to us. But it just seems silly that a school that actually beat one of the other schools is actually behind them in the power rankings. It seems very silly to me, but a lot to talk about in the playoff rankings here. And the kick is up, and it's a short one fielded at around the 15-yard line. And he's going to get hit right away. Another big hit, and Hunter Hawk once again in there on the special teams tackle. I'm sure he'll get a couple of carries and a couple of touchdowns tonight, and then make a sack and maybe an interception, because that's kind of what Hunter Hawk does.
Yeah, good kickoff coverage once again, doing really well, fanning out, as they say, and getting down there and getting in the running lanes. And he has not had a whole lot of room to go on the 3 kickoffs that we've had.
And the special teams, I kind of mentioned it all season on some of the broadcasts, is that really the Golden Bears need to be really good in all 3 facets of the game, and I think special teams is one of those that kind of gets lost in when you're thinking of things like that, as it's 1st down and 10 here for the Bobcats, and they will jet sweep to the left side, and he does have a lead blocker and some good positive yards here on 1st down for the Bobcats. Gets about 3 on the jet sweep. But you talk about special teams, and it's so underrated, but when you get into the playoffs and you're not playing, necessarily teams like this, and you're not going to be able to make mistakes, or you're not going to be able to, when you punt the football, muff it, and the other team takes over at the 15-yard line, and you can't give them short fields like that. And that's happened a couple of times in the past weeks, and I know Coach Winter really harps on it in practice, is you have to be disciplined when you play in all 3 facets. And so I think I think special teams is just as important as offense and defense a lot of the times, especially when you play some of those good teams that everybody has the same amount of talent.
Absolutely. You only got to win 2 of those phases. And, there's 3. If you win 2, then, hey, more than likely you got a victory.
You're usually in the game if you can win 2 out of 3. And I think it's safe to say that Holy Innocents has won 2 out of 3 the majority of their games this year. So they're in the right mindset, in the right place. So we approach a 7-minute mark here in the 1st quarter. It's 20-0 Golden Bears. 2nd down and 7. They stay 4 wide, and once again the H-back in motion right to left. Quarterback sneak left side. It's Mullins, and he's going to get hit and kind of keep going as Mullins gets about 3, maybe 4 yards on the quarterback sneak.
Yeah, going left side that time. Had a little bit of a push, broke some tackles, and before the defense was able to realize where he was, and it was able to get him down out of bounds at around the 30, or I guess that's 25-yard line.
And Bryson Mullins, a 6', 180-pound senior for the Bobcats. We really kind of called his name tonight the most. You're going to see him a lot. He's kind of the playmaker for this offense for the Bobcats. Brings up a 2nd down and 11. And looks like they're going to go trips to the left. 2 wide receivers to the left and a tight end here this time for the Bobcats. Now man in motion. Leaves nobody on the bottom side of the field, and that usually means that's where they're going. Mullins cuts up field. Does get positive yards there, so back-to-back play for positive yards for the Bobcats. He gets about 3 yards or so on that 2nd down carry.
Good job there by Mullins. It was covered well by the defense. He made the quick cut inside to salvage 3 yards, pick up a positive gain that time, and heads-up play.
Brings up 3rd down and really manageable from where they were at. It was a 1st down and 15, but now it's 3rd down and 7, so they've made it at least semi-manageable here in the 1st quarter. So Mullins again takes his time and they're not really in any rush here on offense. They're going to take as much time as they possibly can and call a play. They're going to huddle up, take a breath, because the majority of their players are having to play both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Having to play both ways. I mean, can you imagine just playing offense and then having to go right back out there and play defense?
Against a team that's 9-0 and arguably one of the best teams in the state.
Right.
So, and a Michael Cox who's about 6'2", 230 pounds. That's not really what I consider fun on a Friday night.
You know what the positive, though, is? When you're facing a running team, more than likely the clock's going to run and the game's going to go faster. So, hey, there's that.
There's a silver lining in everything, they say. Maybe we found one for the Bobcats. But
right.
I would expect to not see on the offensive side of the football, Michael Cox and Matt Davis, I think they maybe play the first quarter, maybe the first half. It really depends on the score. But I would strongly consider not playing them, especially as much punishment as Michael Cox takes. He tends to get 40, sometimes 40 carries a game. Of course, triple option, that's kind of standard, but 40 carries a game on a young man, even that size, can take your toll on a season. So if you can get a couple of weeks off, I think would be huge going into the playoffs and get healthy.
Yeah, and get some of the younger guys in there, get them some experience. Like I said, late in the season right now, you kind of know what you have, but do you have any depth? Do you have any guys that can step in that are on the brink of stepping in that could really emerge and help you down the road?
And get them ready for next year, because a lot of these guys are leaving next year. Matt Davis, Michael Cox, Felton, Hunter Hawk, they're all gone next year. They're not going to be here. And so you want to make sure you have some guys that can step up and keep this program running. The middle school team I know is playing really well. JV had a pretty good season. They made it to the semifinals as well, lost to Eagles Landing, excuse me. And so you know, there's a lot of things to potentially be done here, and especially in a game like this, you really want to take it as a learning opportunity for the young guys. So 3rd down and 7. For the Bobcats, looking for their first down of the game. Man in motion, top of your screen to the bottom. Shotgun formation. Mullins scrambles out of the pocket, but he is going to get brought down. Fumble on the play. And as Mullins gets slung down, he loses the football. Moreland Bell with the sack and the pressure. And I believe the fumble was recovered by the Bobcats, so they'll keep possession. And they will have to punt the football away.
Yeah, Mullins that time, he was kind of looked like a busted play. Maybe the receiver didn't run the right route, but he was looking left all the way, scrambled that way, only had one receiver in the vicinity. Everybody else was going right. Bad play, going to have to punt it away here.
Once again, the punter barely gets it off, but a flag on the play, way too aggressive on the play. They're going to Kadar Henry fields it around midfield, gets a couple of blocks. He's going to go for a touchdown, but it's going to be called back.
That should be roughing the kicker, I would imagine.
And that should be an automatic. I think there's only one in high school, and I can't remember if it's 5 or 15 yards. I can't remember.
I think it's a personal 15 and a first down,
okay.
But that's just what I know from Mississippi high school football.
Okay, and I'm almost positive we had this scenario a few weeks ago on the road. And I know it was roughing the kicker, but I can't remember if it's a 5-yard penalty or 15 yards. Obviously, 5-yard penalty is not going to be an automatic first down. They'll just have to repunt. If it's a 15-yard penalty, it's an automatic first down regardless of the yardage to go on 4th down. So I think they just moved it up, and I think it's going to be. And I just heard a coach.
Yeah, he marked it 15 yards, so I guess it is the personal foul, I guess you could say.
Coach Winter down on the field, not too happy with young James Gleason there as he runs into the kicker. But it will be an automatic first down, like you said, and that one kind of hurts a little bit, even though you're up 20-0. But those are some of the mistakes that you're talking about. Those are some of the things that you don't want to see happen in a game like this. So Mullins is going to be shotgun formation once again. He's going to throw quick out. He gets his receiver, has some space, turns on the Jets and gets taken out of bounds at the 40-yard line, a gain of about 22 yards on first down for the Bobcats.
You know, that's a play. That was a play out of the flats, I believe, to the running back, and that is a play the defense has kind of struggled with this year that I have noticed is covering backs out of the backfield. Homecoming saw a big play out of the backfield into the flats, straight up the sideline, untouched. Just a couple of areas that are of concern but can be fixed.
And a lot of the teams seem to be attacking the outside of the defense here. They know it's very strong up the middle with a couple of big bodies in there. Sam Aiken, Griffin McInnes, of course Hunter Hawk and Willis from those middle linebacker spots. That's where they're most powerful. So a lot of the teams seem to be attacking the outside of this defense, especially last week. They were really able to contain it, especially Eagles Landing. That's where really they were going, those jet sweeps with Keaton Mitchell as well. Mullins going to tuck it and run. Penalty marker comes down. Mullins gets maybe back to the line of scrimmage, maybe gets a yard depending on the spot. But that's usually in the spot of holding or blocking the back of some kind.
Once again, trying to throw the football down the field. He scanned the field, but quickly had to put his eyes down to see those defenders running straight at him.
And another penalty on the Bobcats. For a running game, this first quarter, it seems like it's taken forever because we constantly have some penalty markers coming down, stopping that clock. So we'll back them up after kind of a big play, the first real big positive play of the game for the Bobcats. Another penalty backs them back into their own territory at the 45-yard line. So first down and 20. Mullins jogs onto the field, and he's having to play both ways, of course, and quarterback and linebacker there for the Bobcats.
Double duty for almost everybody on that squad.
Man, shotgun formation for Mullins. And he's going to roll out, QB roll out to the left side, getting chased by Bell. Nowhere to go, cuts up back inside. Does get positive yards, maybe 4 or 5 on the quarterback keeper to the left side.
Yeah, good job that time by Mullins. He showed his quickness. He's got a nice little cut move. He cut inside, fooled a defender. I believe Jack Felton ran him out of bounds over there at about the 48-yard line.
And first pursuit was Moreland Bell. We talked about him. He got in the backfield. He had a sack already and a forced fumble just a few plays ago as well. But those linebackers for the Golden Bears, that's the strong suit. The front seven for the Golden Bears defense is really where they kind of come up strong. Hunter Hawk, Willis, Moreland Bell, Spencer Getz, Griffin McInnes, Sam Aiken, another having a really big season for that defensive line as well. So that is definitely the strong suit, the front seven. Second down and 22 officially is what they give him. Mullins is going to throw it right side and nowhere to go. And that was Christian Paget in on the coverage. And Dylan Mullins. So Mullins to Mullins there. Mullins to Mullins there on the attempt. And they are going to throw a late flag on the play.
And Mullins was trying to hit the other Mullins going up the sideline that time, and the defender in Paget never looked for the ball, had his hands all over the receiver. It was an easy call for the Zebras down there tonight.
And it will bring up, and again, another killer penalty on the Golden Bears. This time it'll bring up an automatic first down after the pass interference penalty. And I'm always curious, you know, a lot of people like the NFL rule where it's a spot foul. A lot of people like the college rule where it's a 15-yard penalty and high school rule where it's a 15-yard penalty. I personally like the 15-yard penalty because I think a lot of the times maybe at the end of the game you can just kind of chuck it up, and if somebody happens to hit the receiver, it's a 50-60-yard gain, and I don't necessarily believe in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So run up the middle. He gets about 2, maybe 3 yards. It'll bring up a third down and 4 yards.
You know, a lot of people watch college football and, you know, pass interference, the guy was draped all over him, obviously looked intentional. Well, you know, sometimes I'm not so mad at them because I know when they go to the next level, it's a spot foul. It's even worse. So, hey, why not just get the 15 yards and not give up a touchdown?
Yep, and if you're a defender at the end of a game and you know you're beat, trip the wide receiver.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it makes it a pretty simple play. Would you rather chip the wide receiver and get a penalty on you and get 15 yards, or would you rather let him score the game-winning touchdown?
Right.
So Mullins takes off to the left side. He is going to get hit short of the first down marker, but I would expect the Bobcats here to go for it on 4th down and short.
Yeah, not a whole lot of room that time. Mullins, once again, trying to go off tackle to the left. Good defense over there by Hall O'Neal and McInnes.
So it'll bring up 4th down, and I think they mark it about 2, maybe 3 yards, 2.5 yards, something like that. But it will be 4th down and 2, and we'll see if they're going to go for it here. They do bring on a few substitutions. And I would be very surprised if they punt this football.
Yeah, I mean, you've really got nothing to lose here. Hey, you're in good territory. Why not?
At this point, it's not going to hurt anything.
Right.
I agree completely. So as we approach now the 35 seconds left on the first quarter clock, they're going to go 2 wide receivers, kind of a jumbo set in the backfield, and the snap goes over his head. Chases to get it, and he is going to be recovered by Sam Aiken right around the 45-yard line.
He may have thought they were punting.
And another turnover there by the Golden Bear defense. And Holy Innocents will take over again with good field position right at the 45 of the Bobcats.
Yeah, that was a punting snap, not a shotgun snap.
Maybe
Nevertheless,
maybe the center forgot. Maybe the center forgot that they were going for it on 4th down, and so he had the high snap. I'm not sure. Leighton Dixon in motion, and Davis is going to chuck it deep right sideline, has his man, Felton down there to receive it, block, and Felton rolls into the end zone, 45-yard touchdown pass from Matt Davis to Jack Felton.
excellent job. Matt Davis loaded up. He saw his man all the way wide open, and Jack Felton got behind the defenders, caught the ball at the 20, made a nice cut move inside the 5, and got into the end zone.
And I believe there's a flag on the play, and this might be coming back. It could be on the Golden Bears. Defense for the Bobcats stays on the field, so this might back them up and could take away a Jack Felton touchdown.
And they're going to negate, it looks like a 45-yard touchdown.
Haven't seen an official call yet here, and we'll wait for it as the referee stands at around the 25-yard line with the call. And it's going to be a block in the back, and I think, you know what I think it was? After Felton caught it on the right sideline, I think a wide receiver went to help him get into the end zone, and I think he shoved the receiver in the back, so it even came after the completion, which or maybe in the completion in the air. But nonetheless, it negated a 45-yard touchdown by Jack Felton. So, but it looks like they moved the Golden Bears closer.
Yeah, I don't know. I really did not see the signal.
And Matt Davis is going to pitch it out to the left side to Hunter Hawk. And it will be a 27-yard touchdown from Hunter Hawk.
And good job. Hunter Hawk takes the pitch that time. Comes near sideline, all alone, untouched, all the way down into the end zone for another Golden Bears touchdown.
And you know what I think it was? I think it was actually what I described correctly that I actually changed. It was a catch, and the block in the back came when the catch happened before he scored a touchdown.
Right.
So from where the penalty happened, they backed them up 15 yards, and that's where they were at the 27-yard line.
In fact, I think the defender was turned around. He made that cut move because of the block in the back.
And so that makes a little bit more sense now. After the touchdown, I was thinking about it, and I said, that's interesting. But the extra point by Wanke is up, and it is good. 27-0. The Golden Bears, after the first quarter, lead the Bobcats. And kind of as expected here after the first quarter, 27-0 Golden Bears. It's been all really, I would say Michael Cox, but Michael Cox really has 2 touchdown runs of 22 and 39. Jack Felton has a 20-yard fumble return. Should have had a 45-yard touchdown catch just then, but was negated. But then Hunter Hawk runs it in on the pitch from Matt Davis to the left side, runs it in from 27 yards. And that's where we stand now, a failed 2-point conversion, and 4 touchdowns later, the Golden Bears up 27-0.
Yeah, right on schedule as expected, coming out, playing at a high level. Offensive line getting some really good push up front. Not playing a great team, but, late in the season, you still want to see your team hit their stride and try to get to the optimal level to get ready to go into the playoffs.
And it is just a reminder as we start the second quarter, of course, the regular season finale here on the Golden Bear Network, there will be a bye week, so there is no game next week for Holy Innocents. No game next week for Holy Innocents. They are going to be a top seed in the playoffs, the state playoffs for Georgia, and they will have a bye week. We will get a schedule and, of course, release it as soon as we can. There's a possibility of having to play some Saturday playoff games as well, but a lot of things in the future. The kick is going to bounce out of bounds at around the 1-yard line, so smart play back there from the Bobcats, letting that ball go out of bounds.
I believe that's the quarterback and whatever else position he does, the kick returner. And Mullins, I believe, is his name.
Yeah, he kind of seems to be everywhere for the Bobcats. So we start the second quarter here, 27-0. It is all Holy Innocents so far in this one, but that is as expected. This is 9-0 against 0-9, regular season finale here on the Golden Bear Network. And again, two weeks until the next game after this one, but we also want to remind people that second half most likely will be under a clock that doesn't stop. So it'll speed up the second half, and it's usually just the fourth quarter when it's a 30-point lead going into the second half. It's just the fourth quarter that's a continuous clock. And looks like another penalty is going to be a false start on the Bobcats. But if both head coaches agree, they can actually do a continuous clock the entire second half, which happened actually last week with the Golden Bears up 56-14 at halftime. Both coaches agreed to go continuous clock in the second half. So just something to watch out for that will obviously speed up the broadcast. It is senior night here at Holy Innocents as well, so we might have a little bit longer of a halftime show. I think Coach Dunn, said there was 44 different seniors that they were.
Oh, wow.
Not just football, but cheerleading and some other things. So they were honoring all 44 of those seniors at halftime. So could be an extended halftime as well. And Mullins is going to get handed off to Spencer Getz, or just maybe take over for me on that one. My God, I don't know what happened.
It was a handoff that time inside, trying to go right behind the right guard. And as soon as he got to the second level, Hunter Hawk laid a smackdown on him, for lack of a better word.
What he said. That's what we're going to go with there. As Mullins hands the football off to Nico, we're going to go Nico Watley. But Nico Watley is met by a couple of different players. Now that I spit that out, I'm glad we're on the same page. I caught up, everybody, so it's okay. But it'll be 2nd down and 13 after the 3-yard loss. Mullins, shotgun formation, man in motion. Mullins, quick pass and tipped, but not quite picked off. Good defensive, really help from everybody there. Leighton Dixon in there, and Felton from that safety spot as well comes up and knocks that football loose from the wide receiver. Just about gets it picked off, but can't quite finish the play.
Yeah, Mullins that time trying to hit the slant coming from the right side over the middle. Good job there by Felton to jump in the passing lane and disrupt the timing of the throw.
We'll bring up a 3rd down and long situation, 3rd down and 13 to be exact here for the Bobcats on offense from their own 37-yard line. Mullins, shotgun formation. He's going to roll out. Pocket kind of collapses very quickly, trying to make some space. Mullins gets hit by a couple of guys, tries to go forward. He falls forward to around the 43-yard line. So something out of nothing there from Mullins, but he gets 7 on the play.
And I think that was a busted play. I think they were trying to do a halfback screen. The quarterback was hesitating, pumping his feet, had his arm reared back like he was going to throw it, but the running back was not looking for the ball, so Mullins had to tuck it and take it.
Will be a 4th down now for the Bobcats, and Mullins moves from quarterback to protector of the punter. So, again, all kinds of positions here.
He's an all-around guy.
From Bryson Mullins. And we're going to go with Ashton Henney Road as the punter. And that ball will roll inside the 25 down around the 24, and that's where the Golden Bears will take over. So worst field position of the night here at the 24-yard line for the Golden Bears. Longest drive is 3 plays for Holy Innocents tonight, so something to look forward to there. Would love to get a few more touchdowns here in the second quarter, and then kind of call off the dogs, if you will, there in the second half, and get some substitutes in there to get some playing time in that continuous clock in the second half.
Absolutely. Michael, like you said, starters are still in the game.
Davis with Hawk in motion. Davis is going to drop back, throw it across the middle, hits Felton right across the middle in between the hashes at the 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Matt Davis, Jack Felton, 75 yards.
Jack Felton, wow, he really put on the speed for that one. He split the safeties, almost went untouched. Defender was tiptoeing behind him at about the 30 and almost made a shoestring tackle, but unable to get to him. Jack Felton, a big play.
And once again, we said we were going to see some different things here tonight. And how many times have you seen Matt Davis throw the football this much in the second quarter? That's like 4 pass attempts, but that might be the season high in pass attempts this year for Matt Davis. He does not throw the football very often, but I think it's really good practice to hit some of those passes, especially one like that up the middle, up the seam. And the extra point once again is good. And we are at 34-0. But big play from Matt Davis to Jack Felton. And he goes 76 yards, beats both of those safeties, as you said. And just like that, 3 plays, still the longest drive of the night for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, and I liked what you were saying there about, quarterback Davis getting some playing time and throwing the football, getting comfortable with that, getting confidence. You never know when you're going to need that. This team likes to run the triple option. I know they don't throw it a lot, but in situations where you need him to throw, you need him to be confident, and this is going to help.
Just some more practice, and I don't know how much more we're going to see Matt Davis, but I don't know if he's really broken a sweat. Hasn't carried the football, has just kind of thrown it a couple of times here out of the backfield and handed it off to his running back. So big night for the offense for the Golden Bears so far. They're up 34-0, just under 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. And Wanke in once again to kick off. A low line driving kick fielded at around the 6-yard line. I'm going to go ahead and say it's Mullins, and it is. Mullins takes it out to around the 22, 21-yard line, and that's where Our Lady of Mercy will start their possession.
And Mullins once again taking the kickoff and tackled once again by Hunter Hawk, and he's going to get to know him pretty well tonight.
And Mullins, I'm pretty sure, has not taken a play off. I think he's been in the game the entire time. You got to give credit to people like that. When you're down 34-0, you know what's going to happen. You have 20 players on your roster, and you're coming in and you're having to play every down. You're getting hit every down. More importantly, you're playing quarterback and you're receiving the kickoffs. I mean, it's one of those things you just don't necessarily see that very often.
Yeah, and then you're chasing receivers in the secondary. So
it's unreal. And oh goodness, Moreland Bell picks up, or maybe William Willis picks up the running back and kind of body slams him down to the ground. A good strong tackle from William Willis.
Yeah, Watley took the handoff, tried to go behind the left guard that time, and Hunter Hawk and company were there to meet him, and that was another brutal hit inside. Like you said, the inside linebacker play for Holy Innocents has been huge this season.
That's not where you want to run a lot of the time. You better have some big bruiser offensive linemen to open up some holes, because they get filled real quick with William Willis and Hunter Hawk, and that doesn't even mention the 4 down linemen that you have filling those gaps as well. trips to the left side now, new formation for the Bobcats. Mullins drops back, takes two-step drop, has his receiver, and just overthrows his receiver. Pretty good coverage out there by Donovan Johnson, but he did have his receiver who had about a half a step, maybe a step on Donovan Johnson out there outside the hashes.
Yeah, that was Phillips, John Phillips, that Mullins was trying to get it to, and he got behind the defender in Johnson, just a little overthrown.
But again, if you're Our Lady of Mercy, just call the 9 routes on the wide receivers and just kind of let them go. Let Mullins take a couple of step drop and just chuck it down the field.
Yeah, take your chances.
You're down 34-0. It's the last game of the season. You're not going to be playing any more football. Just take your chances and see what happens.
And also something else that I think would help them is a little eye candy in the backfield. Get the defense looking at something.
And Holy Innocents only has one deep man, and it's Felton, and that is not going to work. They try a jet sweep, and Spencer Getz and William Willis in there really deep in the backfield, and that was John Phillips taking the jet sweep.
And an experienced linebacking core like Holy Innocents has in this game. So many guys at that level that can read plays. They have great anticipation. They have good instinct, and it showed right there. When you do try to do motions and stuff, they can really dig into that.
And Sam Aiken also in there on that tackle for the Golden Bear defensive line as well. And it'll be 4th down and 12 now, excuse me. And the punt is up. Takes a Bobcat bounce right around midfield, and that is where the Golden Bears will start. So another punt from Our Lady of Mercy, and we'll see if the first team offense comes on the field, and they do. So Matt Davis will come on the field, but again, you even as a broadcaster, you worry about the turned ankle or just maybe a sprained knee or a hurt shoulder, or really an ankle is kind of a main concern in a game like this where you're not really getting hit a lot, but all it takes is that one weird, awkward tackle, and that guy could be out for a couple of weeks. So just something to think about, but I don't think they're going to play much longer. Davis is going to drop back deep again. He gets pressured and taken down in the backfield, and he gets sacked for the first time in a really long time. He doesn't get sacked very often because he doesn't throw the football very often, but John Phillips in there on the sack for that defense for the Bobcats.
I hate to assume anything, but you have to wonder the game plan for Coach Winter. Hey, I'm playing an 0-9 team. Is this the opportunity, the game, where I give Davis the football and say throw it down the field, get him going a little bit before you get into this rough stretch coming up ahead? This might be the game. He's still in the ball game. We're 7:22 in, so we'll see if he continues to fire at will.
And I think he has about 7 minutes and 15 seconds to test the arm before he comes out, because I don't think he's going to get much more opportunity, especially with Michael Cox taking the football all the way down to the 25-yard line. So a gain of 25 yards there for Michael Cox, another big run for the Golden Bears.
Good job. Michael Cox takes the handoff, goes straight ahead, and it takes a host of guys to bring him down, and I don't think he was touched until he got about to the 30, and then he was finally jumped on.
And it looks like he almost slowed down to try to dodge that tackle and go into the end zone, just couldn't. He did just end up falling down at around the 25-yard line or so. But it'll be 1st down and 10 for the Golden Bears. Cox and Davis both in the backfield. Felton comes in motion. They're going to give it to Cox again. He's going to get hit and doesn't go down. Finally gets brought down inside the 20, down to around the 17-yard line. So this next play will be the longest drive the Golden Bears have had here in the first half of 4 plays.
And Cox that time, Bears trying to go again, right side, very successful. Good blocking up front, stays behind his blockers and bulldozes his way forward, as he's infamous for, is lowering that shoulder and people really having to jump on his back to bring him down.
And a lot of the guys that don't get mentioned a lot in this triple option is that offensive line. Mac Mitchell, Charlie Haw, Connor Swinimson, some of the guys up on the big guys up there on the offensive line don't get a lot of love. But they're going to pitch it out right side to Leighton Dixon. He has a couple of lead blockers, and man, do they clear the air. And Leighton Dixon strolls into the end zone for a 20-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, and I want to give some love where it's due, and I believe it was number 56. Had a big block, Hall O'Neal on the edge to clear the running back into the end zone. Excellent play.
20-yard run there by the Golden Bears, and Leighton Dixon gets his first touchdown in a few weeks. And that will increase the lead here to 40-0, pending Wonky's extra point. As he comes in here to try to look to make it 41-0, and the extra point is up and good. Talk about getting some practice. I think Peter Wonky is getting some practice here tonight, making it 41-0 here late in the second quarter.
The last time I talked to Coach Dunn, I asked him what offers is Peter getting? Is he getting any interest from D1 schools? I heard NC State. I don't know if there's any more, but he's good. I was watching him pregame. I think he missed one from 42, could have made it from 52. He had a few from 42 that, like I said, he could have made from probably 55.
And he had a big kick last week. The game was kind of out of hand a little bit, but he came in late in that game and had a big kick as well. And, of course, if you want to call it the game-winning extra point kick against Eagles Landing, you can technically call it that as well. They scored a touchdown to go up 42-35 late in that game. And he comes in, kicks the extra point, which you didn't know how important that extra point would end up being, of course, until Eagles Landing goes down. They score their own touchdown, but end up missing the extra point. So Wonky clutch as well. Doesn't get a lot of opportunities for field goal attempts, but definitely perfect on the extra point, which kind of seems to be a lost art.
Yeah, he seems to be a very consistent guy. His routine, just watching him pregame was interesting. Just routine, everything just looks very relaxed, and that's what you want out of a kicker, relaxed and not to be with a lot of anxiety.
And Marshall Nichols kicks the low line driving kick, hits Mullins. Mullins fields it at around the 2-yard line, tips off his fingers, and just rolls into the end zone. So that will be a touchback, and they will take over at their own 20-yard line.
And the defense back out again. Hasn't been too long. Offense been scoring at will very quickly. So you got to wonder if the defense is getting a little tired for the Bears.
I was going to say they don't get much of a break in between possessions there. And the Golden Bears scoring so quickly. The last possession was the longest one. It took 4 plays. So they're having to get back out there pretty quick. But like I said, they're not going to be in there much longer, the starters on either side, I don't believe. So finish out this 4.5 minutes here to go in the second quarter. And my goodness, what a hit in the backfield. Sam Aiken delivers a blow in the backfield. The running back gets up a little bit on the slow side. The quarterback keeps it outside the hashes on the bottom of your screen to around the 22-yard line. So a gain of a couple there on first down.
Yeah, and Mullins on the read option that time. The running back got completely blown up on that one. Mullins that was able to escape around the edge, and a good play by Donovan Johnson to turn him inside and not allow him to get behind the defense.
Second down, they do give him 2 there on first down, so it'll be 2nd down and 8 for the Bobcats. And the third and final timeout is going to be called by the Bobcats here with 3:57 left to go in the second quarter, and it has been a game of big plays by the Golden Bear offense. Really, they have a 76-yard touchdown run. They have a 20-yard touchdown run, a 27-yard touchdown run. They have a 39-yard touchdown run. So nothing really, not one of these methodical drives that we've kind of grown accustomed to all season. When they're playing maybe a little better competition, they tend to go on 10, 12, 13 play drives. Michael Cox will get 3, 4, 5, 6 carries in a row a lot of the times, and Matt Davis will spell them every now and then, but we haven't really seen that the last couple of weeks. Last week as well, it was much more of these type of drives as well, much quicker, scoring on some big plays. Tonight they've had some opportunities to throw the football here in the second quarter. Matt Davis really pretty accurate tonight and had a couple called back for penalties, but Matt Davis throwing the ball pretty well tonight, and he's going to need that here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it hasn't been the customary offense. The eye candy lull you to sleep with that triple option, and then boom, they hit you on the edge with Taekwon or some speedy back. It's been a little bit of that, but we've seen some really good passing from Davis, getting his confidence up. Jack Felton's shown his wills. He's able to catch the football in stride. It's been interesting. It's good to see that offense kind of change their style a little bit and get better.
And it's something, like we said, we're harping on it a lot because it's very important that they will need to throw the football in the playoffs. There is going to come a time where they're going to have to run a 2-minute drill to try to score some points, and a triple option It's not going to do the trick with 2 minutes to go and you have one timeout. It's just not going to work. So you're going to have to throw the football. And you have a good basketball target out there in Landon Cardian who plays basketball for the Golden Bears as well. But you know, you gotta target him. You've seen, like you said it perfectly. You've seen Felton out there showing his speed a little bit as well. So they're going to need it at some point, and we'll record this, whatever you want to do, because it's going to come back to where they're going to need to throw the football in the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, Michael Cox, those typical, 8-9 yard runs on, first down, you may not see that as much. You might get 2 or 3. You got to find other ways to get first downs, and when you get behind the chains, you got to throw the ball.
And third down and 8. Mullins is going to take off, has some speed, makes a couple of guys miss, and Mullins gets into Golden Bear territory, and he is down at the 47-yard line. A big run there by Bryson Mullins.
And you got to admire his heart. I mean, he was playing linebacker. He does the kick returns. He plays quarterback. He's been hit hard all night. Nice play, gets outside of the defense and gets a huge play, probably the best play of the night for the Bobcats.
30-yard run for Bryson Mullins. Really the first big run of the night and the first time in Golden Bear territory tonight for the Bobcats.
Absolutely, and without penalties. I believe the only time they got in territory, and then they eventually backed themselves out. But, yeah, first offensive play inside the territory of the Bears.
So we're approaching the 2-minute mark, and Mullins going to throw it out to the right side, has his receiver pretty wide open, I might add, in the flat, but just couldn't quite bring it in. That was John Phillips out there in the flat.
Yeah, they're trying to hit him out there in space, and like we talked about earlier, the Bears have been kind of suspect in those areas, covering in space right outside in that little pocket over there, the flats, as you can call it. Maybe that's an area they need to address in the upcoming weeks.
And the clock, if I'm not mistaken, the clock is still ticking, which makes me think there's some type of rule. Maybe it's 40 after in the second quarter. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to refresh on that, but the clock is ticking even after an incompletion. So I'm not 100% sure on the rule on that, but we can definitely get that checked out. But we're approaching the 1-minute mark now on the clock. It's 2nd down and 10 for Mullins and company on offense. He's going to just try to look to keep it, cut back inside. Not a whole lot of space, but breaks a couple of tackles and then pays for it as Felton comes up and lays a lick on Mullins after he gets maybe a yard on the play.
Good job by the defense. They stayed disciplined that time. He was trying to bounce it back to the outside, go opposite field and escape, but Jack Felton is too smart for that, able to get in there and lay a blow.
45 seconds on the clock, 3rd down and 9 here for the Bobcats. Mullins looks to pick his 3rd first down up here in the first half for the Bobcats. Shotgun formation is going to roll out to the right. He's going to get chased from behind by a couple of different guys. Just lowers his shoulder, not very like a quarterback, but he's going to lower his shoulder, get taken down after a gain of about 3 yards. And that most likely will do it here for the first half. We've seen Coach Winter call a timeout and a potential for a punt return and a big play, but I don't think he's going to do it here. And that will end the first half officially with the horn here. The Golden Bears up 41-0, dominant fashion so far here. It has been all Golden Bears on offense and all Golden Bears on defense. We have a pretty important halftime show here for you, and it will be all, I believe, 44 seniors getting honored here at halftime for Holy Innocents. So big halftime show. We'll have a continuous clock in the second half. Golden Bears up 41-0 as we enter halftime.
Michael Cox. Michael is escorted by his parents, Nahure Marner and Seven Cox. Michael has played football for 4 years and has been a part of the wrestling team since he was a freshman. He is also a member of the Global Citizenship Program. Matt Davis. Matt is escorted by his parents, Krista and Matt Davis. Matt has been on the varsity football team for 4 years and captained his senior year. He's also been a varsity baseball player for 3 years, as well as being a member of the FCA. Leighton Dixon. Leighton is escorted by his parents, Allison and Chris Dixon. Leighton has been a member of the football and lacrosse teams in Holy Innocents all 4 years. He's also a member of the National Honor Society for 2 years. Blake Dobbs. Blake is escorted by his parents, Elizabeth Donick and Neil Dobbs. Blake has been a member of the varsity football team and varsity soccer team for 4 years. He's also the founder of the fishing club here in Holy Innocents. Jack Felton. Jack is escorted by his parents, Ashley Cazell and Carl Felton. Jack has been a member of the varsity football team for 4 years, as well as track and field. He wrestled his freshman year, and he's a member of the National Honor Society. Spencer Getz. Spencer is escorted by his parents, Jane and Spencer Getz. He's been a member of the football team for 4 years, as well as the lacrosse team here at Holy Innocents. He's a member of the Arts National Honor Society. Charlie Hawk. Charlie is escorted by his parents, Tammy and Chuck Hawk. Charlie's been a member of the football team for 4 years, as well as being a member of the basketball, baseball, and lacrosse programs over his time here at Holy Innocents. Big Hunter Hawk. Hunter is escorted by his parents, Cindy and Heath Hawk. Hunter's been a member of the football team for 3 years. He's also been a member of the varsity cross team for 3 years. He's in the National Honor Society and the National Art Honor Society. Kadar Henry. Kadar is escorted by his parents, Ashura Johnson and Kendrick Henry. Kadar has been a member of the football team for 4 years, as well as track and field. He's also played basketball for 3 years and wrestled his freshman year. Griffin McInnes. Griffin is escorted by his parents, Michelle and Jeff McInnes. Griffin has played varsity football for 4 years, as well as being a member of the baseball program all 4 years. Paul O'Neill. Paul is escorted by his parents, Charlotte Ann and Greg O'Neill. Paul has been a varsity football player for 4 years, as well as lacrosse. He's wrestled and been a member of the sports medicine team. Paul is part of the new field goal kicking club. Peter Wadkey. Peter's escorted by his parents, Allie and Todd Wadkey. This is Peter's first year playing varsity football, and he's been a member of the varsity soccer for 4 years. He's a member of the swim team for 2 years and FCA for 4 years. He started the field goal kicking club. Tyler White. Tyler's escorted by his parents, Trinia and Keith White. Tyler's played football for 4 years, and he's also been a wrestler for 4 years. And fans, those are our senior football players. Let's give a big hand for them. And now for the cheerleaders. Haven Danewood. Haven is escorted by her parents, Sonia and Tim Danewood. Haven has cheered for football for 4 years, JV basketball for 2, and she is a member of the National Honor Society, English and Science National Honor Society. She's also a member of the Rho Kappa Society. Eliza Harrington. Eliza is escorted by her parents, Angela and Mark Harrington. Eliza has cheered for football for 3 years, JV basketball for 2 years. She's a member of the National Honor Society, English and Science National Honor, and a member of the Rho Kappa Society. Olivia Head. active with Young Life and the Activities Club. Ann Radford Bishad. Ann Radford is escorted by her parents Leslie Conway and Matt Bishad. Ann Radford has cheered for football for 1 year and basketball for 2. She is a member of the National Honor Society, Art and Science National Honor, and a member of Rho Kappa Society. Alex Simbas. Alex is escorted by her parents, Ann and Peter Simbas. Alex has cheered for football for 4 years and basketball for 3. She is a member of the National Honor Society, Science and Art National Honor Society, and Rho Kappa. Pat Mooney. Pat is escorted by her parents, Liza and Hugh Mooney. Pat has cheered for football for 4 years and basketball for 2. She plans to play lacrosse in the spring for her 4th year. She is currently the executive student body president. Holland Mowry. Holland is escorted by her parents, Lee and Brian Mowry. Holland has been a cheerleader for 2 years, both for football and basketball. She has been a member of the swim team for 2 and will play lacrosse in the spring for her 4th year. She is also a member of the Science National Honor Society. Elle Wright. Elle is escorted by her parents, Laura and John Wright. Elle has cheered for football for 4 years. She's a member of the National Honor Society and the Science National Honor Society. And those are our cheerleaders. Let's give them a big hand. And now for our drum line. Elijah Carswell, son of Tawana and Kenyatta Carswell. Being escorted tonight by Patrick Boyd. This is Elijah's first year in the drum line. He's on the swim team and plans to play tennis in the spring for his 2nd year. Franklin Jaylee Davis. Jaylee is escorted by her parents, Darika Arnold and DeCarlos Barkley. Jaylee has been a member of the drum line for 2 years. She plans to join track and field in the spring for her 4th year. Franklin Stanley. Franklin is escorted by his mother, Terry Ann Stanley. Franklin's been a member of the drum line for 3 years. He's also involved in track and field and basketball while in Holy Innocents. Ryan Fierro. Ryan is escorted by his parents, Christine and Michael Fierro. Ryan has been a member of the drum line for 2 years, and he's a member of the Science National Honor Society. Nubia Udo. Nubia is escorted by her parents, Yolanda Ryan Udo and Uko Udo. Nubia has been a member of the drum line for 2 years. She plans to join track and field in the spring for her 4th year. That's our drum line. Let's hear it for the drum line. And now for softball. Cameron Jones. Cameron is escorted by her mother, Rhonda Jones. She's played on the softball team for 4 years and cheered basketball for 3. She plans to be a member of the track and field team in the spring for her 4th year. She is a member of Rho Kappa. Catherine Shemansky. Catherine is escorted by her parents, Ann and Dan Shemansky. She has played softball for 3 years and has been a member of the National Honor Society and Science and English National Honor Societies. Let's hear it for our softball players. Now for cross country. Will Garvin. Will is escorted by his parents, Pam and Michael Garvin. Will has been a member of the cross country team for 3 years and plans to be on the track and field team in the spring. Colleen Henry. Colleen is escorted by her parents, Joan and Greg Henry. She has been a member of the cross-country team foul. Bo was escorted by his mother, Amy Hilton. Bo has been on the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to play lacrosse in the spring for his 3rd year. He is a member of the National Honor Society and Science National Honor Society. Erin Hill. Erin is escorted by her mother, Holly Hill, and her brother, Charlie. Erin has been on the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to be on the track and field team in the spring for her 4th year. Emily Callis. Emily is escorted by her parents, Karen and John Callis. This is Emily's 1st year on the cross-country team. She plans to play lacrosse in the spring for her 4th year, and she is a member of the National Honor Society and Science and English National Honor Society. Matthew Cagle. Matthew is escorted by parents Shelley and John Cagle. Matthew has been a member of the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to be on the track and field team in the spring for his 4th year. He's a member of the National Honor Society. Maddie Lowe. Maddie is escorted by her mother, Joe Lee. She's been on cross-country for 4 years and track and field for 4 years. She is a member of Science National Society and Cum Laude Society. Caroline Lyles. Caroline is escorted by her parents, Jackie and Frank Lyles. She's been a member of the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to be on the track and field team in the spring for her 4th year. She's a member of the National Honor Society and is a varsity basketball cheerleader. Jessica McNair. Jessica is escorted by her parents, Heather and Matt McNair. She has been on the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to be on the track and field team in the spring for her 4th year. She is a member of the National Honor Society. Anderson DePoke. Anderson is escorted by his parents, Ellie and Mark DePoke. Anderson has been a member of the cross-country team for 4 years. He plans to play golf in the spring for his 4th year. He's also a member of the National Honor Society and Cum Laude Society. Ella Pappas. Ella's escorted by her parents, Sandy and Al Pappas. She's been on the cross-country team for 3 years and plans to be on the track and field in the spring for her 3rd year. Ella's a member of the National Honor Society. Matthew Rayside. Matthew is escorted by his parents, Kelly Carson and Richard Rayside. He's been a member of the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to be on the track and field team in the spring for his 4th year. He's a member of the National Honor Society and the Science National Honor Society. Miller Taylor. Miller is escorted by his parents, Molly and Michael Taylor. Miller has been a member of the cross-country team for 4 years and plans to be on the track and field in the spring. He's a member of the National Honor Society and the Science National Honor Society. Mackenzie Weir. Mackenzie is escorted by her parents, Savannah and Manny Weir. Mackenzie has been a member of the cross-country team for 2 years and plans to play soccer in the spring. She's a member of the National Honor Society and the Science and English National Honor Society. cross-country runners. At this time, let's give a big round of applause for all our senior fall sport athletes.
Welcome back to the Golden Bear Network, a very special halftime show here representing 44 seniors for the fall and winter sports here for the Golden Bears. And they're having a pretty successful night celebrating it themselves. They are up 41-0 as we are just about ready to start the second half of play. We won't know for sure with the continuous clock here until the start of the third quarter, of course, but I would assume that both teams have agreed for the continuous clock in the second half. And it's really all offense for the Golden Bears here. They had one defensive touchdown, but it's been Michael Cox, it's been Leighton Dixon, it's been Jack Felton, it's been Matt Davis throwing the football. So a lot of stuff happening there in the first half.
Yeah, you've seen a little bit of everything. You've seen Matt Davis throwing the football. You've seen Michael Cox running. You've seen Jack Felton, like you said, everybody getting involved in this one. And all hands on deck approach in this one, just trying to keep that ship going in the right direction.
And it will be Peter Wanke to kick off here to start the second half for the Golden Bears. And the Bobcats will get the first offensive possession here in the second half of play. And I'm going to go ahead and guess without looking. If I close my eyes, I think it's going to be Bryson Mullins returning the kick here for the Bobcats.
The do-it-all. The do-it-all guy.
Ball is set up at the 40-yard line, waiting for the official referee signal, and it is. And Wanke's kick is up and away. So second half of play has started. Bryson Mullins will return the kick starting at the 5-yard line, goes right up in between the hashes and gets hit by William Willis and Donovan Johnson.
Once again, good kickoff coverage, special teams playing well down there on the coverage. I don't think they've gotten across the 20 yet on a kick return, so always a good sign.
And we will see some substitutes here. Not all substitutes, but some substitutes start the second half. James Gleason, William Willis will be the two linebackers. Leighton Dixon, Donovan Johnson, Christian Paget, some guys in the secondary. Jack Felton still back there at his safety spot. Hunter Hawk is going to take most likely the second half off. Shotgun formation. Snap is to Phillips, or handoff is to Phillips, excuse me. Looked like a horse collar tackle there by the Golden Bears, but I don't think there is a flag. But William Willis does get the hit in the backfield after a loss of a couple of yards.
Yeah, good job there by the defense. Very good on the edge tonight. The Bobcats were trying to go on the perimeter and cannot get to the outside. Good defense.
So second down and 13 after the loss on first down. And again, Mullins is going to take his sweet time here on offense. We're approaching the 10-minute mark already, and there's only been one offensive play run. So you can see how fast that clock goes when it's continuous, and a couple of misdirection fake plays there out of the backfield for the Bobcats, but they do hand it off, I believe, to Phillips, and he gets hit in the backfield. So it'll be third down, and we'll say 14, maybe 15 yards for the Bobcats.
And good job by Sam Aiken. Really blew up that play as soon as the ball was handed off. And not a lot of running room once again for the Bobcats, who are just trying to inch their way down the field against this good defense.
So once again, we talked about not a lot of plays when you're down 41-0. Third down and 15. So we'll see what Mullins calls here. He likes to do a quarterback rollout on those long plays. There he goes again, throws it deep, and it's going to be picked off. That one's by Christian Paget. Picks it off at the 32-yard line and can't quite get in the end zone. But Christian Paget down at around the 2-yard line. Almost a pick six for that defense. But it will be first down and goal for the Bears.
And Coach Miller over at Our Lady of Mercy was trying to help his quarterback out, get him, roll the pocket and get him outside on the edge, maybe find a receiver cutting across. These receivers are not doing a very good job coming back to the ball and helping the quarterback out. As you saw, he threw into double coverage, but really had nowhere else to go.
So we'll put Holy Innocents in a good position here on first down and goal from the 2-yard line. And Marshall Nichols in at quarterback, and they will hand it off to the up back, and it's Joe Hinkson, the young sophomore, getting his first touch of the game, and he will go in for a touchdown.
And getting some young players some playing time, key, build for next season, build for down the road where you may need them. Always beneficial.
So once again, continuous clock here, but 47-0 pending Wanke's extra point there, and this has just turned into a blowout. Not much else you can really say about this. Wanke's extra point is up, and it is dead center. Make it 48-0. Golden Bears leading here in the third quarter. So we kind of talk about the playoffs going forward. We know the Golden Bears will have a bye next week on the 15th. They will head into the playoffs as a top 3 seed guaranteed after winning the region, depending on the power rankings. Again, a very weird and strange system in my opinion. The last one that I read from Georgia, I think it's Georgia High School Daily. I think I got an email, something like that, Georgia High School Football Daily or something like that. They had Holy Innocents actually at 3rd in the power rankings, even though they're 9-0. I believe either Athens Academy or Darlington, I know, are in the top 5 as well. And of course, Eagles Landing is going to be there for a long time. And we do have a score update, which is really not super surprising. But Eagles Landing actually leading Landmark Christian 62-0. So that one even worse than this one. But Eagles Landing, again, we know what Eagles Landing is.
62-0 at halftime. So you know there's going to be some rolling clock in the third quarter.
Listen, there's not a whole lot you can do sometimes. That school, they're very good at football, right? I mean, it's very simple to say. They are very good at football, and I think we will see them, both teams, of course, continue winning. We will see them at some point, whether it's in the state championship game, which would be amazing as a rematch, but even in the semifinals, I think would be a classic for single-A football to see Eagles Landing again. We know they're going to be there. They won 8 straight championships, which was ended by us this year. They're well aware of that, I'm sure. And so they're going to be hungry. And sometimes that's the worst thing that you can do, to make a team angry or hungry, if you will, going into the playoffs. So they remember, and they're going to take it one game at a time. They're a good school, good program. But listen, we're good too. We're really good too. As a matter of fact, we beat them 42-41 in a real classic game. So I think we're really good too, and I think we have a chance to beat them again when we go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think if you're, on the Holy Innocents team and as a player, you're not thinking about playing them again. And if they come up on the schedule, you want that type of the game. Like you said, you're a good team, they're a good team. You want to play in big games.
You want to be the best, you have to beat the best. As John Phillips has a completion there from Mullins, who gets up to the 49-yard line, so a gain of 18 on 3rd down, and a big play by that Bobcat offense. But if you want to be the state champions, you're going to have to beat an Eagles Landing type team, whether it's Eagles Landing or whether it's Athens Academy or whether it's Darlington or whether it's any one of those teams that are in the top little bit in the rankings. And Holy Innocents knows that. But again, they're just as talented. People got to remember, Holy Innocents is pretty darn good too. They're 9-0. They're going to be 10-0 after tonight. They have some studs in the backfield that can run that offense as well, and some studs on defense. So they have as good a chance as anybody.
Right. 9-0, you're not going to shy away from another big matchup with a team that you have, you squeaked by, you got an overtime win. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think they're thinking about that. And if Eagles Landing shows up on the playoff bracket again, then they'll just, throw some punches.
It'll be a business trip for both teams, right? And it'll be a home game for the Golden Bears most likely, unless they see them in the semifinals. The Golden Bears have home field advantage for the first few rounds of the playoffs, going in all the way to the semifinals. We'll confirm where that is taking place because I'm not 100% sure about that either. But up until the semifinals or the Golden Bears lose, we will be right back here at Riverwood School, whether it's a Friday night or a Saturday night. But Golden Bear Network will be at home until the semifinals. So That's an advantage in and of itself, playing at home, not having to travel. You're not leaving school early. You're not having to do anything like that. It's your same normal routine, and you're at home in your own locker room with your own fans. And so a lot of familiarity, and I think that's really important going into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and I like the term you use, business-like, and that's what their approach needs to be. It doesn't matter who you're playing in the first round. Granted, all playoff teams are fairly good, but, who you're matched up with as a number 1 seed, they're probably not going to be as good as you. But you've got to come out, business attitude, take care of business, get to the next round. You can't take any plays off regardless.
3rd down and 2 here for Our Lady of Mercy. Mullins going to take it to the left side, pick up the first down, and get a couple of more, and he's going to get tackled to another first down on this drive from Bryson Mullins.
And good job, Bryson Mullins, moving the chains for the Bobcats. Have not said that a whole lot in this game, but he's been a workhorse. He's got a nice little cut move. The way he's able to cut inside and pick up an extra few yards is pretty impressive.
And a lot of the times they call running backs a one cut back, right? They put that one foot, either right or left foot, in the ground, and they kind of go right upfield, and some are better than others. Adrian Peterson in the NFL, if you've watched Adrian Peterson, he is known as a one cut back. He's not a juke side to side type of guy. He's a one cut and go upfield, north and south type of runner. And that's kind of what Bryson Mullins has here tonight. He puts that foot on the ground, and he just kind of seems to get an extra couple of yards on a lot of these plays where he's really getting harassed all night from the backfield.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to have eyes in the back of his head. He's surrounded very quickly. I mean, he's having to look downfield, look to his right, to his left, look at his knees, because there is a red jersey in his face on every play.
And we're under 2 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. It's 2nd down and 10 yards after the scamper by Mullins gets back to the line of scrimmage. And they'll still go 4 wide receivers. Mullins is the lone man in the backfield. Man comes in motion once again. That's Phillips. He's going to hand it off to him, and he gets hit hard once again right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe gets a yard or so. But Kadar Henry on the bottom of the pile as well.
And good job there by Henry. He was able to put a shoulder into the running back that time, bring him to the ground. Solo tackle, that is, and great play there for a young man stepping up.
And James Gleason in there on the tackle as well. Young sophomore coming in, making a play after kind of got scolded a little bit in the first half. We've mentioned him in a positive manner since then, so he's made a couple of good plays, one on special teams and now one on defense. So we're under a minute now left in the 3rd quarter, and it's going to be a big 3rd down and 10. If you're the Bobcats, you just want to keep moving the ball. If you can get some points out of this, I think that's a positive thing for them. They haven't really been able to move the ball. This is the 2nd possession in Golden Bear territory. Mullins just going to throw it deep in the middle of triple coverage. Just nowhere to throw the football there. Good coverage by a few guys. Donovan Johnson led the way in that secondary.
Yeah, looking at the receivers coming off the line of scrimmage, they're not running hard. They're not trying to execute. They're not trying to help him out. I saw a wide receiver take 2 steps, and the ball was already thrown. It just execution. You got to get some guys that can run and help the quarterback out, and they're not doing that for the Bobcats.
And Hayes Reifenberger in there. First time we've mentioned him tonight in that secondary as well. So Hayes Reifenberger in there with the coverage as well for the Golden Bears. And that will do it for the 3rd quarter. So just like that, the snap of your fingers, the blink of your eyes, we are done with 3 quarters of play. Golden Bears do score on their only possession, and it's from 2 yards out, and that's it. They haven't touched the ball on offense other than 1 2-yard passing or 2-yard running play by Joe Hinkson, and they lead now 48-0 over Our Lady of Mercy. So 12 minutes, 12 minutes left to play in the regular season, and if you're the Golden Bears, just do what you do. Don't make mistakes. Don't make any kind of unnecessary plays or don't get any kind of silly penalties. You just want to end this game. You talked about it in the little bit of pregame that we did here tonight on the Golden Bear Network, but you talked about just be careful, right? You don't want to go into it with any injuries. You don't want to twist an ankle in the 4th quarter. you don't want to do any kind of silly extracurriculars, if you will, kind of here in this fourth quarter. Just let that time run off the clock, stare at that 48-0 victory, and go into the playoffs 10-0.
That's right. Stay healthy. Get out of the game without any major injuries. Can't afford them right now this late in the season. And as we see, we've got a bunch of young guys on the field ready to play here on defense.
So it'll be 3rd down and 10 for Mullins. Tries to escape it, but he gets sacked for a big loss near midfield, and that is Kadar Henry. We've talked about his speed. We talked about his speed on offense, but he also comes off of that defensive end spot with a kind of a blaze of speed there from that defensive end spot and gets in the backfield and takes down the quarterback.
Absolutely. He's a burst of energy off the edge, and you really like to see that out of a young guy. He's the future of this team, and he just showed he's got some wheels, and he's tough to block.
And he should be back, possibly returning the punt as well. Oh, I guess that was 4th down. I thought it was 3rd down. My apologies. It was 3rd down on the board, so it got me a little bit confused. So the Golden Bears will take over on offense. So Joe Hinkson on the carry. He's going to get 10 right at the 1st down marker. And 9 yards, though. So they officially give him 9 yards, 1 short of the 1st down.
And we're going quick here.
So they give it to Hinkson again. Breaks at 1 tackle. Falls forward for a gain of 3. That'll be a Golden Bears 1st down.
Little chippy down there. It looks like the nose tackle and the center had a little extracurricular activity, but that has cleared up. But nevertheless, good pounding of the football that time with Hinkson.
And if you're the Golden Bears, this is a last chance opportunity to affect those power rankings. You want to, honestly, they make it to where you need to score as many points as you can in a game. If you're up 48-0, you don't want to turn off the volume because you got to score as many as you possibly can to increase your stats in those power rankings. So, and that is first carry of the night, and we don't even have him on our roster, number 15 for the Golden Bears. Drew Bomar. Drew Bomar, he's been in a couple of games before. And I should have him on my roster by now, but sometimes you just forget. So he's not on the roster. He's been in a couple of games previously, getting some kind of cleanup carries there in the 4th quarter as well for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, and like you were saying with the power ranking, score as much as possible. It looks like Eagles Landing got that note because they're up 62-0 at half.
And man fakes in motion, give it. Maybe the quarterback keeps it there. Marshall Nichols. He'll get taken down maybe right at the line of scrimmage, maybe gets a yard, but down around the 35-yard line, so it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 4 for the Golden Bears.
And I guess the Bears, 9-0, undefeated, the power rankings, is what it is. They probably don't want to keep their starters in. They don't want to throttle anybody any more than they have to. Just try to stay healthy.
My opinion is it going to change the voters' opinions or the point system's opinion to win 48-0 opposed to 54-55-0? Is it really going to change that much? Is it worth it for a potential injury or something like that? No, probably not. If they're going to say you won 48-0, what's the difference between 55 and 48, right?
Right.
But it's one of those things where you always, as a coach, you always keep that in the back of your mind, and you have to weigh: do you take your starters out and you don't run up the score, or do you try to put more points on the board and increase your numbers in the power rankings? So there's a fine line there, and I'm sure each game is different. You take it game by game. That's a cliche that a lot of coaches say, but it is what it is. You decide that in the game of play.
Right. In Eagles Landing's case, they've lost a game, so why not? Let's increase our power rankings. We're not undefeated. It makes sense.
That's exactly right. And on 4th down, they come up just short. The Golden Bears do. So the offense will come off the field here as we're under the 8-minute mark here in the 4th quarter. And the Bobcats will take over for possibly a potential final possession of the game.
Not a whole lot to take from this game if you're a Bobcat, but they've got some decent pieces. I really like Mullins at quarterback. He's shown some toughness. He just doesn't get much help.
You're right, and he's been under pressure most of the night. He's had to not only pull double duty, but triple duty. And a high snap again, but he goes up and gets it, comes down, has some space. on the left sideline, cuts back inside the numbers, and then finally gets taken down from behind. And I believe that was Kadar Henry coming all the way across the field from his left defensive end spot to make the tackle here on the near sideline.
And that is a big pickup that time for the quarterback in Mullins. The formation we talked about earlier, that 4 wide receiver set with the H-back is the lead blocker. He goes in motion, and Mullins will take the snap and go right behind him, and it showed a big gain.
So it is a first down, and that's, again, the second time in Golden Bear territory actually this half. They only made it one time in the first half, and this is the second time here in just a quarter and a half here in the second half. It is against the second-team defense, but at least something to, your last game of the season, something to consider there if you're a Bobcat fan. Mullins still in there, quarterback, takes the shotgun snap. He's just going to take it himself again. Tim Tebow in Florida, like back in the day, just run right up the gut and lower that shoulder, and he's going to get a couple of yards. Actually picks up 4, maybe 5 yards there on first down.
Yeah, I see the Tebow and then Al-Raji with the Cardell Jones. They look like Ohio State a couple years ago.
They do, with the jerseys and everything. So that actually is probably a better visual comparison, 100%. And as we approach the 6-minute mark on the clock, and it is very Cardell Jones-like. Mullins is kind of one of the bigger guys out there on the field for the Bobcats at the quarterback spot. And Cardell, of course, was a good 6'5", 6'6", 220, 230 pounds. So very similar. I would agree with that. Shotgun formation, throws it out, almost picked off, and the Golden Bear sideline really wanted that interception. They wanted some of those younger guys, and that was Gleason again getting in there again for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, good job. Double coverage, not a good throw, not a good decision first off, but a very risky throw there from Mullins.
You'd think they maybe try to take it downfield here one time, a quick drop. We saw it actually had a receiver, and it was Phillips there in the first half, open on the 9 route on the top part of your screen, but just couldn't quite bring it in. Good coverage by Donovan Johnson there in the first half as well. But you think they would just try to take it deep here, and maybe they can just bang a 40-yard touchdown pass out here in the second half. And chase from behind, and there is Kadar Henry again. He's making his name known here in the second half with a couple of big plays, and he chases the quarterback down from behind.
And he's really putting together a nice highlight tape on the last 2 possessions on defense. And he comes off the edge very quickly, affecting the quarterback's blind side. He just comes out of nowhere.
And that's what Kadar Henry does, right? He uses that speed and the rip move with the left arm. You kind of go under the left tackle, and he beats him to the backfield and chases down Mullins for his second sack of tonight. And another good, it'll bring up 4th down, and they're going to say 11 for Mullins. He's just going to chuck it downfield, overthrows his receiver, and that will be a turnover on downs.
And just lack of execution, team probably tired. I mean, most of the guys play both ways. You kind of feel for these guys, got to admire their passion to play. They're out here playing every game. They're 0-9, but they've continued to show up and go to work.
And I say that was the last possession, but I believe that this will be the last possession as the Golden Bears are just going to try to run this one out, run a couple of offensive plays, let that time just tick, tick, tick. And comes in motion. And the young JV quarterback in for the Golden Bears, and it's William Wright, the young sophomore, running that JV offense. Of course, they run the triple option as well at the JV level. So he's in there running the triple option here the last couple of minutes of this game.
Makes it very simple whenever they need to call you up, running the same offenses, step right in. And
well, listen, he'll be running the offense next year. So you're going to see William Wright next year. Marshall Nichols, the backup. Marshall Nichols might play quarterback next year as well. He's a junior. So we'll see if they put Marshall Nichols or William Wright in there. But either way, one of those 2 guys is going to have to come in and take over for Matt Davis, who has been extremely effective this year. And one of the things that I've said all year is that it's a sprinkle of Matt Davis running the football, right? It's not a consistent thing, but I think that actually helps when you pound Michael Cox 40 times a game and Matt Davis gets 5 to 10 carries. That's all he needs, because it's really a different mindset and a different set of skills, and he bounces it outside and can really break break a 30, 40-yard run pretty easily.
And then sprinkle or dash in a little Tyquan Alexander. They love to get him on the edge, and he's very quick and good at that.
Yeah, outside the numbers is his strong suit. So you have right up the middle, that's where you have Michael Cox territory. Right off the tackles is Matt Davis. That's where he lives and breathes. And he loves that outside tackle where that quarterback keeper, and he just turns it upfield right inside the hash, and that's when he just explodes. And then, of course, Tyquan on the outside. So you got 3 levels, and when you have 3 levels and you have a guy that can run anywhere like Michael Cox, and Hinkson just about breaks one for a touchdown inside the 30, that really affects the offense, and that's what kind of opens it up and makes literally the triple option. That's why it's called the triple option, so it makes it so hard to beat.
And when you're good at it, you've got 3 guys that do a really good job in the offense. It's a triple-headed monster. You got the speedy guy, you've got the big, powerful guy, and you got the agile quarterback that can run everything.
And on first down, hand it off to the up back there. And it'll bring up second down as we're officially under 2 minutes on the fourth quarter clock here, and this time is just ticking away. And if the Golden Bears can break one more run, they might get into the end zone to score one more time.
If you're a team and you end up facing Holy Innocents in the playoffs, you know what they're going to do. They're going to run the football. They're going to lull you to sleep with that triple option. But beware. They may start throwing the ball. They're going to have to. And I think they can do it.
And I think Matt Davis is a very capable senior quarterback, but I think he makes really good decisions running that triple option. He knows when to pitch it. He knows when to keep it most of the time. He's very, very minimal mistakes all season out of the backfield. Hinkson breaks a couple of tackles now, and he gets down at around the 10-yard line. But that's what makes Matt Davis so good. Yes, he has some wheels. He has some speed behind him, and he can break a 40-yard run in the blink of an eye. But what makes him so good is that he's cerebral. They use that word a lot on NFL broadcasts and things like that. But a cerebral quarterback is what you want, because Matt Davis knows the right play all the time, and that's what makes him so tough. Hinkson is going to score. And Joe Hinkson will put some icing on the cake here in the fourth quarter with his second touchdown. He kind of falls forward past the end zone line just barely, just gets the nick of the football over it, and that will most likely end the game here. We'll wait for the extra point, of course, by Peter Wanke on, and that will make this one. And it was 54-0 last year's game, so we're right on cue with where we were last year with these two teams. So no rush for Peter Wanke here. With under 10 seconds to go, this will be the last play of the game. The extra point is up and good, and that's how this one is going to end, folks. 55-0. The Golden Bears take out Our Lady of Mercy Bobcats, and what was really a blowout, which was what really was expected, right? And it's one of those games where we're going to take a week off. We're going to come right back on the Golden Bear Network. We'll make this very short and sweet because it's cold and we want to go home. But the Golden Bears with a big victory to end the season 10-0. Final thoughts on the game, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, great game. Good plan on defense. I like the plan on offense to get Davis comfortable, confident going into the playoffs. Excited to see what they could do.
And that will about do it. And Nathan Spencer signing off here for the Golden Bear Network. They once again win 55-0 against Our Lady of Mercy. We'll be back in 2 weeks on the Golden Bear Network.